What if Deku was rejected by All Might, and instead became Spider-Man? In this alternate universe, watch how Deku's journey takes a whole new web-slinging twist. Gifts, also known as quirks or superpowers, are special abilities that humans acquire from birth, or as the body of the individual who possesses them develops. Currently, 80% of the human population has gifts, with 20% being rare individuals who fail to obtain any of these powers for unknown reasons. The first record of a person with a gift was a newborn baby in China, in a hospital in the city of Quig. This baby had the ability to generate light throughout its body. From this moment on, the generation of humans with quirks began to arrive. Some adults manifested powers, and others who were just born did as well. It hasn't been confirmed how these powers were created, but it's thought to have been caused by a virus spread by mice worldwide, which somehow caused humans to evolve. Initially, this phenomenon was known as meta-abilities, but after laws were established, they were renamed gifts. Gifts are acquired naturally or inherited directly from the family, and usually begin to manifest from the age of 4. Because quirks are considered an evolution of humanity, a person with a quirk can be identified by looking at their foot. This is because people without special abilities have a vestigial joint in their pinky toe, scientifically known as the digito minimus pedis, while quirks do not. When humans around the world began to display these abilities, great chaos ensued, as many criminals attempted to use the powers for evil purposes. Furthermore, people harmed innocent people simply because they didn't know how to control their gift. This led to the arrival of the Age of the Watchers, civilians with gifts who attempted to stop criminals and thus keep society under control. When things started to spiral even further out of control, the profession of pro-heroes was established. They are now tasked with stopping villains by enforcing strict laws to keep society functioning and prevent chaos. Every child's dream could be fulfilled. The profession of a hero, that job everyone read about in comics was finally real. Although not for everyone. 12 years ago. In a house in Japan in the city of Musatafu, we can see a room in which there were too many things of heroes, but of which one hero stood out. He was a blonde-haired man with 2 strands standing up, muscular and with a big smile. This was none other than All Might, the symbol of peace. In the room there was a little green-haired boy who was sitting on his bed while looking at the floor, shedding a few tears. Flashback. In a waiting room in the infirmary we could see a beautiful green-haired woman of slim build accompanied by a small child who was beside himself with excitement. Izuku, Mommy. Mommy. I can't wait any longer. The boy said with great emotion. Inko, calm down, darling, she smiled warmly at her son. Izuku, but I can't wait. Kachan has already awakened his quirk and it's a very strong one. Excited, do you think my quirk is just as strong? Curious. Inko, of course you'll have a quirk so powerful that you'll be number 1, smiling at him. Izuku, yes. Raising his fist in excitement. Nurse, Midoriya family? Inko, it's us. Standing up next to her son. Nurse, you can come in now, the doctor is waiting for you. Both green-haired men bowed and went to the room where the doctor was waiting for them, who was sitting in a chair while looking at both green-haired men. Doctor, tell me what I owe your visit to? Inko, Vera doctor, my son is already 4 years old but his quirk hasn't awakened yet. Doctor, I understand. Then if there is no problem I will run some tests on your son. The older green-haired girl nodded as she watched the doctor perform all the necessary tests to find out little Izuku's quirk until the results arrived. Izuku, and tell me, doctor. Can I be a hero with my incredible quirk? Excited. Doctor, I think you should give up, seriously. That made the little green-haired boy drop his miniature All Might toy. Inko, what do you mean, doctor? Worried. Doctor, if you notice here, Mrs. Midoriya, this is an X-ray of little Izuku. You can see that he has the joint in his foot that is scientifically known as digitized minimus pedis, which is possessed by people who do not have a quirk. Inko, so that means. Doctor, little Izuku doesn't have a gift? Finishing the question, yes, seriously. Inko, I see. Thank you very much for your time, doctor, bowing as she left with her dejected son. The little green-haired boy just kept his head down while his mother tried to cheer him up without any success, until they both arrived home, making the boy lock himself in his room. End flashback. At night in the Midoriya house there was a deathly silence. The beautiful green-haired girl did not know what to do to cheer up her son. But then the door was opened by a black-haired man with freckles on his face entering the home. Hisashi, I'm home. I call out cheerfully. The subject was the father of little Izuku. It was rare for the black-haired man to have time to go home and spend time with his family because of his work, but that did not prevent him from enjoying time with them to the fullest when he visited his family. But this time his welcome was strange. It was not like always when his little son came running to hug him and fill him with information about heroes that he had read on the internet. That puzzled him a little until the beautiful wife that the black-haired man had gotten came from the kitchen to greet him with a kiss and a hug. "Inko, I missed you so much," Hisashi-kun, hugging him. "Hisashi, me too," Inko-chan, reciprocating the gesture, and "Where is my champion?" Curious. The green-haired girl just lowered her head, sadly worrying the father of the family, so he only asked him what was happening, where his wife told him about her visit to the doctor and the bad news that Izuku belonged to that 20% of society that did not have a quirk. The black-haired man would go up to his son's room to continue entering, seeing his son crestfallen. "Hisashi, hello Izuku." "Izuku, hi dad. How was your day?" "Okay." That did worry his father. Every time he came home, his son would inundate him with questions about his work and his research, and seeing him so discouraged made him worry. "Hisashi, your mother already told me." Sitting next to him. "Izuku, I just wanted to be a hero." Shedding tears. "Hisashi, and who says you can't be?" "Izuku, but I don't have a quirk." Seeing his father confused. "Hisashi, you don't need one to be a hero. There are doctors, police officers and firefighters. Are they heroes too, aren't they?" "Izuku, yes. You're right," giving a slight smile. "Hisashi, so don't worry about not having a quirk. You can always be a hero with small everyday actions." "Izuku, you're right, more animated." "Hisashi, that's how you talk." Tousling his hair. "Izuku, ha ha ha, enough dad. It tickles," laughing happily. At that moment, the beautiful green-haired girl would look out the door of the room to see both of them laughing together, making tears of happiness fall from her beautiful green eyes. "Hisashi, I'll stop. Besides, we can still play heroes." "Izuku, really?" Excited. "Hisashi, that's right. Now where's that little hero? I don't see him anywhere." Looking around. "Izuku, I'm here." Standing up on his bed. Hisashi, ah. It was right under my nose this whole time. Overdramatizing, but that won't stop me from my plans, hero. Ha ha ha, laughing evilly, you won't be able to stop me. Izuku, of course I can. Determined. Hisashi, really? Well then, standing up, I'll take this beautiful lady. Carrying the green-haired girl bridal style, and you won't be able to stop me. Running out of the room. Inko, no. My hero helps. The woman shouted through the halls of the house. Izuku, don't worry citizen. I will save you. The little boy jumped out of bed and started running out of his room looking for his parents all over the second floor of the house, but he couldn't find them. He reached the first floor and there was no sign of anyone until he heard noises in a room, so he hurried there, but when he arrived he could see which door it was. The door that he or his mother was forbidden to enter, only his father could enter, but curious, he approached to open the door slowly, finding a mess in the room. Papers thrown everywhere, the window of the room was broken, all the drawers were upside down, someone had entered looking for something. Izuku, Dad. The boy shouted, Dad. Seconds later his father arrived with a smile until he saw the mess in the room getting serious, so he took his son and carried him to where his wife was giving him to her. So the black-haired man returned to the room and began to search a drawer that was in the area, so with a pencil he put pressure causing the bottom to rise, showing that this bottom was false, and in this new one there was a portfolio that Hisashi opened to see what papers were there, so he hurried to take them and approach a chalkboard in which there were things written which the black-haired man began to erase without a trace. Soon the rain started to fall and Hisashi took his wife and son and left home in his car as the rain fell harder. While his mother was driving, the green-haired man saw how his father was in the passenger seat while he checked several documents, and in one of them he could see a strange symbol that he had never seen. After a few minutes they arrived at their destination, which Izuku recognized was his uncle's house. The green-haired trio entered the house while the adult trio were talking. Little Izuku watched all this from a corner, watching his father speak with a serious look while his mother cried and his uncle was also serious. After a few seconds his father stood up and approached Izuku to take him by the shoulders. Hisashi, listen Izuku, I won't be home, I have to go to work. Izuku, but you'll come back, right? Hisashi, of course. Be a good boy and behave, giving him a kiss on the head. After that, his father said goodbye to his mother with a kiss and a hug from his uncle, and then left and got lost in the darkness of the night and the rain on the road. The present. In a Japanese high school located specifically in the city of Musetafu, we can see a green-haired boy staring at the school. Narrates Izuku. It's been over 12 years since Dad left without a trace. I'm currently 16 years old and I attend Midtown High School in Musetafu. My life is normal, if you can say that in some way, of course, if normal seems to you that. Hello loser. Throwing a water balloon at his head. Izuku, ah great. Seeing his wet clothes. Yes. My life is normal, not to mention that everyone at school has a quirk, except me of course. That's why I've spent the last 12 years of my life being the butt of everyone's jokes. But if I'm honest, I don't care anymore. The freckled boy entered the academy seeing everyone passing him by doing their thing. The boy just sighed and walked towards a wall where all the photographs of the academy were. Yes, I like taking pictures and I'm in the academy's photographers club. And I'm the only one. Yeah. For that reason I take photos of the academy on events or announcements that are given at the request of the director of the academy. The freckled man arrived at the place and opened a window in which there were several photographs, so he just stared at them and after a few seconds he entered a new one which had the title Midtown High School Debate Club. The freckled man stared at the photograph where there was a beautiful girl with jet black hair, a lock of which fell over her face. But he was taken out of his thoughts when he was tackled and crashed against the wall where all the photographs were to turn around and find himself with a pale-haired boy known to him. Bakugo, hello Deku. As you know, it's not a pleasure to see you again, mockingly. Bakugo Katsuki was my best friend in preschool, but since he found out I didn't have a quirk he distanced himself from me until he started making fun of me, teasing me and hitting me, becoming the biggest bully in my life. You might be wondering where I know him from? Well, it's simple. My mother and Iz have been good friends since school. I even considered Bakugo's parents my uncles, and I call them that affectionately. Izuku, seriously, Bakugo-kun? Are you going to start again? Bored. Bakugo, be more careful when you talk to me, idiot, annoyed. Izuku, please, really? How much longer do I have to put up with you? Annoyed. The pale-haired boy only made a feint that would hit him, making the freckled boy cover himself for fear of the blow, making the pale-haired boy and his henchmen laugh at him. Izuku, it can't be. Bakugo, what about your father, Deku? Has he returned yet? Or is he still working? Mockingly. Izuku, you'll be annoyed, ready to hit him. Bakugo, a what? Making an explosion in his hand. Izuku, stopping himself from trying to hit him. Bakugo, I thought that was useless. Enough, everyone better calm down. Seriously. Behind the green-haired boy a voice was heard making everyone see them, showing a boy with his hair of two colors, half red and half white, with a burn scar on his face, being a little taller than the green-haired and pale-haired boy. He is Todoroki Shoto and he is my best friend despite being the son of the number 2 hero and having an incredibly powerful quirk which was half cold half hot. He never cared that I don't have a quirk. Todoroki, enough, let's all go to class, seriously. Ring ring. Then all the students went to their classrooms, including the little redhead and his henchmen, leaving only the 2 friends. Todoroki, are you okay? Izuku, yes. Thank you Todoroki-kun. Todoroki, stop getting into trouble and let's go to class. The freckled boy just nodded and both went to their classroom to start their school day. At recess time the green-haired boy went to the backyard when in the distance he saw a beautiful brunette girl reading a book on some benches there, so he didn't hesitate to take a picture of her from a distance with his camera that he carried everywhere in case something interesting came up at school, or with some luck he could take a picture of a hero. When suddenly in the distance a crowd began to form while they surrounded something or someone. The confused green-haired boy approached them, seeing how in the center was the pale-haired boy carrying someone from his feet while forcing him to eat from that position. Everyone, eat. 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 Everyone watched the pale-haired boy amusedly as he carried the boy until he noticed the green-haired boy. Bakugo, hey Deku. Take a picture. Izuku, no. I won't, shaking his head, hey buddy. Don't eat it. Bakugo, come on, do it Deku. Izuku, no Bakugo-kun. Put it down, ordering. Bakugo, take the picture. Izuku, put it down Bakugo-kun. Annoyed. This made the pale-haired boy lower him roughly, causing the boy to hit himself. Izuku approached trying to help him when he received a punch in his stomach that made him lose his breath. The pale-haired boy punched him again in the stomach, followed by an explosion in his face that knocked him to the ground. Bakugo, wow. Let's stand up. The green-haired man was holding his stomach as he tried to get up when he received another kick followed by an explosion. Bakugo, come on. Who's next? Someone else. While that was happening, a beautiful girl was approaching the area, staying behind the pale-haired boy. Hey. Bakugo-san. Bakugo, come on, someone else? Bakugo-san. The aforementioned turned around, ready to fight, when he stopped when he saw who was speaking to him. Her name is Yaoyorozu Momo, a beautiful girl and the smartest in school. She is the daughter of the Yaoyorozu, the most powerful and wealthy family in all of Japan. Yaoyorozu, do you want to continue with this? Bakugo. Yaoyorozu, not to mention you used your quirk illegally. It would be better to return to your homeroom before I talk to the principal. Bakugo, TSK. Whatever, walking away. The brunette only turned to look at the green-haired man with sadness, who was still holding his stomach while breathing heavily. Ring ring. The bell rang, causing everyone in the circle to start going to their classrooms, and a student wanting to be funny kicked the green-haired guy's camera, who took his camera to see if it was in good condition. After a few seconds he arrived at his classroom and sat down in his seat and hid his head in his arms. Yaoyorozu, hey. That was nice what you did over there, turning to look at the green-haired boy. Izuku, staring at her. Yaoyorozu, it was silly. But cute. Izuku. Yes, I admitted at that moment I was stunned. I never thought she would talk to me. She was the most beautiful and powerful girl in the entire academy. Yaoyorozu, what's your name? Izuku, no. You don't know my name? Surprised. Yaoyorozu, no. I do know your name, I just want to know if you know it, giving him a slight smile. Izuku, Midoriya. Yaoyorozu, Midoriya? Curious. Izuku, Midoriya Izuku. Yaoyorozu, very well Midoriya Izuku. I suggest you go to the infirmary afterward, turning around to look at the board again. After that talk, the freckled man was only surprised until he reached the exit, where he was the first to leave and head home. Izuku, I'm home. Announcement, entering and taking off his shoes. Inko, how was school? I'm speaking from the kitchen. Izuku, good. I did well, entering the kitchen. Inko, I'm making tempura for lunch. Izuku, what? Confused while checking the refrigerator. Inko, what's that about? You've always liked him, confused. Izuku, just forget it. Leaning on the sink. Inko, well. The green-haired girl turned to look at him when she was surprised. Oh my god. What happened to your face? Worried. Izuku, what are you saying? Confused. Inko, you have a huge bump on your face, are you okay? Izuku, oh, don't worry. I just hit myself with a ball in PE, lying. Inko, I don't understand why they do such dangerous things. At that moment, a black-haired man with glasses came into the kitchen, carrying a wet box and barefoot. Inko, what do you have there? Trash? Surprised. He is my uncle. My father's brother, his name is Midoriya Ben, he has raised me since dad left, he has been like my second father. Ben, what are you saying? Those are my bowling trophies. Offended. Inko, oh that changes everything, ironically. Ben, they're special to me. While they were both arguing, the green-haired man laughed softly, watching them both interact. Inko, get rid of that. Ben, okay. Turning around as he left the kitchen. Izuku, hey. Where did the flood go? Mocking. Ben, follow me and you'll see. Izuku, really? Ben, seriously. The freckled man just sighed and then followed him to the basement, where there was a huge flood in the whole place, while the black-haired man lifted all the boxes from the floor to prevent what was inside from being ruined. Ben, I think it's the capacitor. Izuku, no. It's too much water for the condenser or the cooling. It must be the hose. Ben, that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Can you fix it? Mockingly. Izuku, no. I can't today, tomorrow I'll go to the hardware store. Ben, good idea. Izuku, what's all that? Looking at the boxes. Ben, memories of my past. Looking at the boxes, here, take this. The black-haired man threw him a frozen piece of meat that the freckled man caught with difficulty. Ben, put it on your face, looking at the boxes, and... How did the other one turn out? Izuku, what? Confused while looking at some boxes. Ben, please. I know a dent when I see one. How did the other one turn out? Should I call someone to avoid any problems? Izuku, no. Not just. Forgotten, sighing. Ben, okay. Check something down here, I'll go up now if you see something interesting, go up it, I'll see you upstairs, going up the stairs. Izuku, yes, yes. Looking at some boxes. The freckled man just looked at the boxes without interest when a familiar briefcase fell out of one of them. Curious, he looked at it until he realized it was the briefcase he had before leaving. Upstairs, both adults were talking to each other when the green-haired man entered the kitchen slowly. While his eyes were fixed on that, both adults realized that. Ben, I had already forgotten that, getting the green-haired boy's attention, your father bought it at a store where your mother worked. That's how they met. Inko, stop it, Ben-kun is embarrassing, blushing. The green-haired boy only saw the portfolio to open it and see how it had several things to take a photo where his father was accompanied by a blonde-haired man with glasses and with a lack of his right arm. Izuku, do you know him? Showing the photo. They both looked at her for a few seconds without any result, they didn't know who she was. Inko, we'll see that later, now we're going to eat, so take that somewhere else. And wash your hands. Izuku, yes. It's okay. Ben, run. After eating, the green-haired man went to his room and opened the briefcase where there were several things, a calculator, coins, nothing out of the ordinary, but none of them were interesting to him. He saw some glasses that belonged to his father, so curious he put them on, seeing that with them he could see a little better. There was also a security card with a picture of his father when he worked in the Oscorp laboratories, until he saw the briefcase again when he began to move it, feeling that there was something inside, until upon inspecting it better he saw that there was another bag which had nothing, until he felt like this one had a secret bag, so he opened it. Inside there was a briefcase which the freckled man saw, and then got up from the floor and locked his bedroom door, and then sat back down on the floor and looked at the briefcase to look at it again, and then opened it and began to read it, but then his door would be knocked on, making the freckled man get scared. Izuku, 1 second. The freckled man put everything aside and sat at his desk to remove the safety lock. Izuku, come in. At that, the black-haired man would enter to see his nephew's room, seeing how there were no longer hero posts, there were only photographs taken by him of some heroes or landscapes, until he saw his nephew sitting at his desk while using his computer. Ben, oh my god, surprised. Izuku, what's wrong? Ben, you look just like your dad with those glasses, smiling at him. Izuku, MMH. Nodding disinterestedly. Ben, you know. Entering the room and sitting on the bed, I was never good at studying and you know it. When you got to 4th grade I couldn't help you with your homework anymore. And we didn't talk about your father either. Izuku, never mind. It's fine. Ben, no. It's not right, you should know about him. Sigh, Curtis Connors. That's the name of that guy, he was a friend of the family until your father died and he distanced himself from us. The freckled man nodded as he listened to what was said. The black-haired man saw his nephew's screen where there was something interesting. Ben, who's the girl? Smiling. Izuku, oh. She is. Nervous. Ben, ha ha ha, don't worry. Smiling, I'll leave you alone, walking to the exit. Izuku, hey dude. Ben, yeah? Stopping at the door. Izuku, you're a great father, smiling. After that, the black-haired man left the room, leaving the freckled man alone, who leaned back in his chair while sighing, looking at the ceiling. This is my story where I discovered that my actions have consequences. This is my story where I discovered that. With great power comes great responsibility. A new day began in the land of the rising sun. Many people get up early to go to work or classes, the normal thing of every day, and for Midoriya Izuku it was a new day, and what caused her to go to her beloved son's room to wake him up to go to class, because if she didn't do it the boy wouldn't wake up at all. So when she entered his room she noticed how it had changed. There were no more hero things like before, although she still had one or another poster of her favorite hero, All Might, but the big difference now was that all the walls were empty, or photographs that the boy had taken. The woman entered the room to take a photo of her and her son on his 5th birthday, and the first one without being accompanied by the black-haired man. This saddened the green-haired woman, although a few seconds later she recovered to wake her son. Inko, honey. Shaking him, let's go up. Izuku, mom. Let me sleep for 5 more minutes. Drowsy. Inko, fine if that's what you want. You won't mind if your Uncle Ben eats your katsudon for lunch, leaving the room. It took the boy a few seconds to fully wake up until he remembered his mother's words, so in a quick movement he got out of bed to go down to the 1st floor, entering the kitchen and seeing how his uncle was about to take a bite of his precious katsudon. Izuku, don't even think about it. Taking it away. Ben, ha ha ha, don't worry son, I wouldn't do that, smiling. Inko, you finally wake up, now go take a bath, you'll be late for class. The boy nodded to go take a shower, to go out to his room and change, to take his skateboard and camera, to return to the kitchen and eat his lunch, to give his mother a kiss on the cheek as a farewell. Izuku, I'm leaving. Leaving the house. Inko, have a nice day. Saying goodbye. The boy, after a few seconds of leaving home, got on his skateboard to go faster, all this while he put on his headphones to listen to music on the way to school. While doing that, he managed to take a picture of a hero who had recently come to light, the hero Kamui Woods, and he also had the great luck of taking a picture of a heroine who was making her debut that same day, called Mount Lady. After a few minutes he arrived at his destination, and without caring about anything he entered his school still riding his skateboard, which was not good at all because he met the director of the institution. Director, Mr. Midoriya. Seriously? Izuku, yes sir? Taking his skateboard while walking to his classroom. Director, do you like your skateboard? Izuku, yes sir. Confused. Director, then keep it off the ground. Izuku, like this? Lifting it over his head. The green-haired man, after crossing a hallway out of the director's sight, got off his skateboard again and got on it. Yaoyorozu, I think they told you to keep it off the ground or not? The boy was surprised by this and lost his balance, but managed to recover, avoiding falling to the ground, to turn his gaze and find himself with the beautiful brunette. Izuku, Yaoyorozu-san, surprised. Yaoyorozu, you know, disobeying the principal is a serious rule of the institution, amused walking beside him. Izuku, really? I don't know those rules at all. The boy felt uncomfortable in a certain part because he was accompanied by the most beautiful girl in school, and she was taller than him, so he had to look up a little to be able to see her in the eyes, which embarrassed him, but the other thing that bothered him was that while they were both walking together, all eyes were on him, which was beginning to bother him. Izuku, you know, I just remembered that I have to do something. See you later Yaoyorozu-san, changing course. Yaoyorozu, yes, of course. Confused. The boy took a little longer to get to his locker to put away his skateboard and camera while he took out some notebooks when someone pushed him, causing him to crash into the locker. Izuku, this can't be. Annoyed. The boy turned his gaze to see Bakugo and his henchmen walking through the hallways laughing. Classes went on normally until lunchtime, however, it wasn't like that for the green-haired boy, who was constantly being looked at by the others with bad eyes, something normal in his life, so it didn't surprise him. Even so, this time he knew the reason for the looks, although he wouldn't do anything to solve it. He had a table to himself and a plate of hot katsudon next to his notebook. Todoroki, okay, now what did you do? Sitting at the same table facing the green-haired boy, everyone has been watching you since morning. Izuku, nothing in particular. Eating. Todoroki, really? Incredulous. Izuku, seriously, I only ran into Yaoyorozu-san in the hallways and we exchanged a word or two, writing. Todoroki, if you say so. Eating some of his soba, and now who are you writing about? Izuku, this is the hero with his incredible tree quirk, the young promise Kamui Woods, happy. Todoroki, you really are a fan of heroes, aren't you? Mockingly. Izuku, will you shut up? Blushing, this distracts me from everything that's happening around me. Todoroki, I thought you'd break that hero addiction when you went to meet my family. Izuku, to start with, we swore not to talk about that day, blushing. Todoroki, look at kissing my father's hand, funny. Izuku, Todoroki. Embarrassed, he was the number 2 hero, he couldn't pass up that opportunity. Todoroki, ha ha ha, yeah sure dude, better keep on with your notes. Maybe I don't have a quirk, but that doesn't mean I can't try, right? Who knows, maybe I'll get into the best academy for heroes UA. For that reason I study the abilities of all the heroes and write them down in my analysis of heroes for the future notebook, and over time it became a hobby that I do whenever I have free time. Hashtag author's note, when a character is narrating, it will be written this way. Hello, thanks for reading. Hashtag end of note. Todoroki, by the way. Are you really going to take the UA entrance exam? Izuku, it's always been my dream to be a hero. And I want to try, smiling. The bicolor only saw his friend for a few more seconds to eat another bit of soba before letting out a sigh. Todoroki, if that's what you want. I'll support you, giving him a small smile. Izuku, thanks friend. After that, both friends continued talking calmly while finishing their food until the bell rang at the end of lunch, where both friends separated to go to their classrooms because Todoroki played in a different classroom than Izuku's. Classes went on normally until the last one of the day, and perhaps the most boring for everyone, some students sleeping because of the boring class, others looking out the window bored waiting for the classes to end, and the green-haired boy at his desk working on giving him the last details about the powers of the hero Kamui Woods. The boy became confused when everyone around him started using their quirks out of nowhere, with the exception of two people. One of them was Bakugo, who was sitting on his desk with his feet on the table with his face being adorned by a sly smile, and the other person was the Raven girl who was reading a small book. Bakugo: Professor, don't compare me to all of them, arrogant. Izuku: is it really going to start already? Tired of the boy. Bakugo: don't think I'm going to stay at the bottom with these losers. Everyone: that was so cruel. Upset. Bakugo: shut up, filler characters. Funny. Professor: if I remember correctly, looking at some papers, do you want to enter UA no Bakugo? Student: the National Academy? Surprised. Student: the acceptance rate is very low. Only 0.2% get in. Izuku: stop feeding his ego, annoyed. Bakugo: that's why they're filler characters. Jumping to stand on his desk: I passed the prep exam, I'm the only one in school who could get in. I'm going to surpass All Might and be on the top list, my name will be at the top of the highest paid list. Arrogant. Professor: very well and all that, but it says here that Miss Yaoyorozu will also be entering UA, right? Yaoyorozu: that's right, Professor, but I'll be joining by recommendation, without taking her eyes off her book. Teacher: and that only leaves us with one more student who wants to get in there. And it's young Midoriya, amused. Everyone remained silent for a few seconds and then started laughing at what their teacher had said. Student: really, Midoriya-kun? Laughing. Student: if you don't even have a quirk, how do you think you'll get in? Student: he probably thinks that by studying he will be able to get in. Izuku: it's not true, they removed that rule. There's no precedent, refuted. They started laughing louder and louder at the boy, who lowered his head because of what had happened until the boy barely dodged an explosion that hit his desk and made him fall to the floor. Bakugo: hey Deku. You're worse than these losers. You don't have a quirk. How do you even think you can be on my level? Annoyed. I must admit that at first I was deeply afraid of Bakugo, but with time I lost it. I am still not able to argue with him or raise my voice against him, but I am not as afraid as before. Izuku, sighing: no, wait a minute Bakugo-kun, I'm not planning on competing with you, believe me. It's just that it's been my goal since I was little, and well, I won't know if I don't try. Looking away. Bakugo: what do you mean by that? Starting to blow smoke out of his hands: you're just taking the exam for fun? What the hell could you possibly do? You have no gift. After that, everyone returned to their seats to continue with the class, leaving the green-haired boy with his head down while he wrote in his analysis notebook, being observed from a distance by the black-haired girl who felt sorry and sad for him. In a part far from the green-haired man's location, a subject wrapped in a sticky green slime was running out of a store. Salesman: stop him. Thief. Thief, ha ha ha, still sighed, escaping. All this was seen from a distance by civilians who saw it as unimportant because this was their daily life. Civilian: seriously, there are people who don't know what to do with their quirks, annoyed. If there is. The civilians turned their eyes to see a gigantic, muscular, blonde-haired man walking towards them. Do you know why? Because I'm already here, smiling. The thief turned his gaze to see the man smiling and instantly knew who it was, so he began to quicken his pace, trying to escape from the blonde. Returning with the green-haired boy, the class continued until the end, where all the students began to leave one by one. Student: are we going to karaoke? Student: I don't have anything to do. Leaving the room. The boy continued to pack his things without caring how everyone around him was making plans to go have fun with friends. The boy received a message on his phone, so he took it out. Izuku: oh, the incident this morning is already on the news. Surprised, I must hurry and write it down in my notebook now. The boy started to put away his things faster, and when he was about to put away his analysis notebook, someone snatched it from his hands. The green-haired boy didn't even have to look up because they knew who it was. Bakugo: you and I haven't finished talking, Deku. Serious. Minions: what is that, Bakugo-san? Approaching with another minion. The pale-haired boy didn't mind showing the notebook he had taken from the green-haired boy. Minions: analysis of heroes for the future. Reading, seriously? Funny. Izuku, what's wrong? Give it back to me, Bakugo-kun, serious. The pale-haired boy didn't like that tone at all, and with both hands he made an explosion in the green-haired boy's notebook. Izuku, ah, how cruel. To finish, Bakugo threw the notebook out the window, which made the green-haired boy approach to see how the notebook fell from the second floor to the fish pond on the first level. Bakugo, most famous heroes have stories from their time in school. Izuku, you'll have famous stories too. Like the idiot who bullied everyone at school, annoyed. That enraged the pale-haired boy, who threw an explosion that hit the boy's chest and then lifted him by the shirt so he could look into his eyes. Bakugo, I want to be remembered as the only student in this pathetic high school able to get into UA, and I'm quite the perfectionist, smiling. Minions, how mean. Funny. Izuku, I doubt it. Todoroki-san and Yaoyorozu-san will also enter UA, idiot. Bakugo, but well, as I was telling you, placing a hand on his shoulder which began to release smoke, don't try to enter the UA, fool, annoyed, or else you'll see the consequences. Yaoyorozu, that's enough. The four turned to see how the girl was at the door of the classroom with her arms crossed as she walked, standing between Izuku and Bakugo. Yaoyorozu, it's time for you to retire, seriously. Bakugo, whatever. Walking to the door. Minions, hey Midoriya-kun, at least you could have done something, right? Mocking. Minions too, don't say that, it's pathetic. Don't you see that a girl has to defend him? He still hasn't accepted reality. Bakugo, you know. Stopping in the doorway, if you want to be a hero so badly, there's a quick way to do it. Have faith that you'll be born with a gift in your next life and jump off the roof, amused. That surprised both the girl and Bakugo's henchmen for having gone too far with that. The little-haired boy was inciting her to commit suicide. Yaoyorozu, hey Bakugo-san, that was going too far. Bakugo, I don't care, leaving the room. The girl, seeing that, turned to look at the green-haired man who walked to her desk to grab her bag. Izuku, thanks for this Yaoyorozu-san. Yaoyorozu, don't worry, but you won't do anything about what Bakugo-san said? Izuku, it's not worth it. He'll only get punished and then I'll pay the price. See you tomorrow or so, I think, I don't know, leaving the classroom. The girl was saddened by the treatment the boy received. She believed it was something stupid, so she took her bag and walked in search of the boy, who found him in front of the fish pond watching as the fish bit the notebook. Izuku, that's not food, idiots, taking the notebook, I'm sure you must be hungry, right? The girl hid to see how the boy took out a sandwich and began to give pieces to the fish, then he let out a sigh and left the school. The brunette came to the pond to see how the fish ate the pieces of sandwich that the boy had given them. Yaoyorozu, even when everyone bothers her and she's having a bad day, she worries about others. Surprised. Returning with the green-haired man, he was walking towards his house and had changed course to be able to walk a little further and clear his thoughts. Izuku, that idiot Bakugo-kun and his stupid jokes, annoyed. The boy walked a little further until he passed under a bridge, where he stopped for a moment when he noticed how the manhole cover moved, and a few seconds later a slime-like subject came out. Thief, ah, perfect body. The slime was thrown at the boy, who did not have time to react and was enveloped by the subject. Izuku, shit, I can't breathe. Trying to drink the drool without success. Thief, don't worry, kid, I'll just take over your body. Calm down. It'll only hurt for about 45 seconds, and then you'll feel better. Izuku, I can't breathe. Scared. Thief, someone is chasing me. Feel lucky, you'll be my hero, funny. At that moment I thought it was my end. I wished with all my being that a hero would come to my rescue. What I wished came true, someone came to my rescue without knowing that. That person would be the one who would mark a before and after for me. The green-haired boy began to open his eyes due to some light taps on his cheek, only to see how the symbol of peace was there trying to wake him up. All Might, hey kid, are you okay? Worried. Izuku. All Might, hey, tell me, are you okay? You're not hurt, or are you? Worried. But the green-haired boy did not respond to the impression of having his idol in front of him, but he came back to his senses when he received a slightly stronger slap from the hero that did hurt him. All Might, tell me, you're not hurt, right? Izuku, no tea, nothing, sir. Standing up. All Might, I'm glad, sighing, I was chasing that villain until I got here and launched an attack that accidentally hit you too, sorry for that. Izuku, I received an attack from my idol. Now I can die happily. Todoroki-kun must know this. Excited, hey, by the way, where is the villain who was here? Worried. All Might, there's nothing to fear. Here it is, showing a bottle with the brat villain inside. Izuku, great. Ah, I'm so stupid, I should ask for his autograph. Looking in his backpack, where is it? It can't be. Where did I leave my notebook? Desperately. All Might, oh, if you're talking about your notebook, it's here, take it, offering him the notebook. Izuku, thank you so much, opening the notebook and finding a surprise, I'll sign it? Impressed. All Might, I took the liberty of doing it, lol. Izuku, thank you very much, sir, it will be a family heirloom, I will treasure it like you can't imagine, bowing non-stop. All Might, fine. Giving him a thumbs up, now if you'll excuse me, I must hand this thug over to the police, turning his back on him. Izuku, what? Wait. All Might, crime doesn't rest and neither do heroes, getting ready to jump, keep supporting me from the cameras, kid. The hero made a huge leap, rising hundreds of meters from the ground until he felt extra weight on his right leg, so he turned to see, being surprised, the green-haired boy was holding onto his leg. All Might, hey, your fanaticism surpasses all limits. Let me go. Trying to get away from the boy. Izuku, yes. I do. I'll die. Scared. All Might, oh that's right. Cough cough, coughing blood, I have to escape from him. Looking at his surroundings, aha. Grabbing the green-haired boy's shirt, hold on tight, kid. The hero swerved into the air, reaching a rooftop without knowing that he had accidentally knocked over the bottle with the villain inside. Both the green-haired and blonde-haired boys stopped where their feet could finally be freed from the boy who was on his knees breathing heavily. Izuku, I thought I was going to die. Scared. All Might, that was very reckless, little admirer. Izuku, sorry. Breathing heavily. All Might, well, since you're sure, I'll leave, turning his back. The boy only saw how his greatest idol was about to take a strong leap, prepared to leave. He still had many questions to ask him, but among all of them, one was the most important for his life. Izuku, can I be a hero? Closing his eyes. All Might, Confused, I turned to look at him. Izuku, can I be a hero even if I don't have a quirk? Could a person like me be a great hero like you? All Might. Izuku, that's always been my dream, to save everyone with a brave smile. Like you. Opening his eyes. But when he did it, in front of him a blonde man with sunken eyes and an extremely thin body was in the place instead of All Might. Izuku, what happened? Surprised, are you a fake? All Might, I am All Might. He corrected himself while vomiting blood. Izuku, what happened to him? Worried. All Might, there's no point in hiding it anymore. Sitting down, you know how men pose and flex their muscles in the pool? It's the same. Izuku, it can't be. All Might isn't afraid of anything and saves everyone with a smile, he's the best, scared. All Might, sigh, I have a brave smile? Young man, now that you've seen me like this, don't spread it even by accident. The green-haired man was confused when the hero slightly lifted his shirt, showing how he had a gigantic wound on the right side of his stomach. All Might, it's an injury from 5 years ago. I lost half of my respiratory system and my entire stomach. I became increasingly rickety from the surgeries and their effects. That's why now I can only work 3 hours as a hero once a day. Izuku, no way, 5 years ago? Was it fighting Toxic Chainsaw? All Might, you are informed. Squeezing his right fist, but someone like that asshole could never defeat me. The fight was not reported in the media, I explicitly requested that it not be published. He always saved everyone with a smile. The symbol of peace is not going to be intimidated by evil, determined, smiled to demonstrate the strength of the heroes, also smiled to deceive the fear inside me. The professionals always risk their lives. You told me you didn't have a quirk, right? Standing up, forgive me but I can't simply tell you you can become a hero without a power, it would be dangerous, but you can become an officer, they are not as respected, but you can help people, sorry kid. But you can't be a hero. You should give up. Izuku, boo but. All Might, it's not bad to dream, but you also have to consider what's realistic. Goodbye. The hero, after saying those severe words, walked out the door of the roof, leaving the boy alone who looked sad. Even his idol had told him so. After a few minutes a loud explosion was heard from where the boy was to see how a column of smoke began to emerge. Izuku, a villain attack. I must hurry to see which heroes are coming so I can. All Might, Forgive me, but I can't just tell you you can become a hero without a power, it would be dangerous, but you can become an officer, they are not as respected, but you can help people, sorry kid. But you can't be a hero. You should give up. The words came back to the boy's head, who lowered his sad gaze again to begin walking slowly towards the door of the roof, going down the stairs to the street where he began to walk while hugging his notebook of analysis of heroes for the future and beginning to shed tears. Izuku, don't cry, you already knew it, right? It's reality, you knew it, that's why you tried so desperately, you deceived yourself into not accepting reality, trying to hold back tears without any success. The boy continued walking until he unconsciously reached the area where the explosion had been, looking out to see what the slime villain was like. He was holding a boy. Izuku, he's the villain that All Might captured. At that the boy opened his eyes, remembering when he grabbed the hero's leg when he was jumping, the moment the bottle fell from the hero's hand. Izuku, it's my fault. Worried. Civilian, why aren't the heroes doing anything? Confused. Civilian, it seems they can't help because of their quirks. The area where the villain of slime was over a commercial district where he was in the center, surrounded by many fires everywhere, preventing Kamui Woods, one of the heroes of the area, from doing anything. Even the recently debuted heroine Mount Lady could not do anything as the space was so small for her growth quirk. Civilian, he even has a hostage. Civilian, seriously? Surprised, but the heroes aren't going to help or what? He's had a hostage for a few minutes now. That surprised the boy because when he was attacked by the same villain he had begun to lose consciousness due to lack of air after just a few seconds. Izuku, hold on. Worried about the hostage, please hold on a little longer, a trained hero will come to help you. Scared. The villain began to writhe more, revealing his hostage, who was a young man with ashen hair. The green-haired boy opened his eyes in surprise. It was his partner Bakugo, who was doing his best to try to get rid of the slime without any success until he looked up at everyone. Izuku saw how his biggest aggressor had a look between panic and help, so without knowing why, his legs moved on their own. Despite hearing the screams of the heroes ordering him to return because it was very dangerous and being invaded by fear, he did not care and continued running towards the villain, who noticed him. Villain, it's you. You'll pay for this. Bakugo, Deku? Izuku, why am I running? Why? Scared. Villain, I'll tear you to pieces. The villain turned around, ready to attack him with a blow intended to kill him. Izuku, what do I do? What should I do at a time like this? Without stopping running. At that the boy began to remember what he wrote in his notebooks until he reached a point that would be useful to him. Izuku, page 25. Spinning on his own axis, he took his backpack to throw it at the villain, who caught his eye, which made him release the ashen-haired boy a little, a moment that the boy took advantage of. Izuku, Kachan. Trying to free him. Bakugo, but what are you doing here? Izuku, my legs moved on their own. Although I don't know why. Continuing with the attempt to free him, I think there were many reasons. Remembering everything he has lived until now, such as not awakening a quirk, his father leaving him, everyone stopped talking to him, they even told him to give up being a hero until the moment where All Might told him that he could not be a hero either, but at that moment. Kachan. Smiling at him with tears, I couldn't stay and watch you die. All Might was surprised by those words, which caused him to try to overcome his limits. All Might, pathetic. Pathetic, holding his wound. The villain raised his slime arm ready to crush the green-haired boy, an action that worried the heroes because the boy would die in vain. When he was finally going to crush him, a strong gust of air occurred in the place. I'm really pathetic. In front of the boy and the spectators as heroes, the man who represented power was in place. All Might, even though I lectured you, I didn't put my words into practice. The hero in a quick movement took the ashen-haired boy by the arm and easily freed him from the villain to hit the air with force, causing it to destroy the slimy villain into particles and, due to the powerful force, causing a light rain, putting out the fire in the area. After a few minutes everything calmed down, the reporters arrived to talk about what happened, All Might being interviewed. Behind the hero, both boys were finishing being examined by the paramedics. While Bakugo was praised for his incredible quirk and high resistance, wishing him luck in being a hero and that they were waiting for him at his agency. On the other side of the coin, Izuku was examined by the paramedics while receiving scoldings from the heroes for doing something reckless, and they asked him if he was a stupid suicidal. The boy just looked down and took his things to leave the place. He wanted to apologize to All Might, but the reporters didn't leave the place, so he couldn't apologize to the blonde. Being a few blocks from arriving at his house, he heard the nickname that his bully had given him, so he turned his gaze, seeing how the pale-haired boy walked towards him until he arrived breathing heavily. "Bakugo, listen to me, you idiot. I didn't ask for your help, you hear me? I don't need the help of a damn quirkless freak like you. So don't think I'll thank you for something like that. Get lost, you useless bastard." Furious. The pale-haired boy, after shouting all those things, passed by him, but not before hitting his shoulder with the boy's, which made him fall sitting down, as he was not prepared for that. Izuku, well. At least that didn't change. The boy got up from the ground with a sad look and walked a little further, running into another surprise. An extremely thin man with blonde hair was in front of him. Izuku knew who it was. "Izuku, All Might. All Might, you know what you did back there was very irresponsible," crossing his arms. "Izuku, I know. I'm sorry," looking down. "All Might, tell me, what the hell were you thinking? Serious, if I hadn't been there you would have died." Izuku. "All Might, the work of heroes is not a game. A boy who does not have a quirk like you cannot do it. What will happen if you study to be a hero? When a villain attacks you, how will you defend yourself?" Izuku, I didn't know what to answer, as I was also starting to shed tears. "All Might, now you understand me. You can't be a hero." The boy fell to the ground on his knees as he began to cry and held his shirt on the chest because of the words. The hero came to his senses. He had been very harsh with the poor boy, but he knew he was doing the right thing. "All Might, don't get into any more trouble." Leaving the place. The scream cried a little more until he stood up, wiping his tears, and continued on his way until he reached his house, where when he was in front of the door taking the knob of it, he gave a sigh while wiping his tears to change his face of sadness and tears to a happy expression with a smile and enter. "Izuku, I'm home." "Inko, oh welcome son, tell me why it took you so long?" Surprised. The words died in the mouth of the beautiful green-haired girl when she saw how her little boy came home hurt and with several band-aids on his face, along with a bandage on his right arm from a burn caused by the fire where the incident took place, along with part of his uniform being burned and his backpack being the same. "Inko, honey, what happened to you?" Worried, she went to him. "Izuku, this? It was nothing," looking away. "Inko, it was nothing? Baby, you're hurt and your uniform is burned," worried. Izuku, seriously, Mom, I'm fine. It was just an attack from a villain and... Inko, a villain attack? Scared. The boy just sighed. This would be a long afternoon of explanations and attempts to calm his paranoid mother. It took me longer than usual to calm my mother down and tell her that I wasn't hurt, of course not before Mom checked me 8 times from head to toe. Right now I need my Uncle Ben to help me calm my paranoid mother down, but unfortunately he was working, so I had to do it alone. For obvious reasons, I didn't tell him about the incident completely, so he doesn't know that I tried to rescue Bakugo from the villain, nor did I tell him about the hurtful words All Might said to me. They still hurt. After a few seconds, the boy was finally able to retreat to his room, so when he closed the door, he leaned against it with his back while he began to shed tears looking at the photographs and posts of All Might that he had in his room. "Izuku, they're not worth it anymore. I still remember that day. I didn't leave my room at all, taking down posts, figures and photographs of all the heroes I had, the one I had the most being All Might. I didn't even know he had so many. I had to store each hero thing in boxes, and once again, as I mentioned, All Might's were 3 full boxes of his merchandise alone. Since when do I have so much of his stuff? Thank goodness I had sold my old All Might sheets, it's embarrassing to remember that." After a few minutes, the boy was finally able to stack all the boxes next to his room and then see how his room had turned out. "Izuku, and now what?" The boy only saw how his room seemed sad because apart from his bed and his desk accompanied by his chair where he had his computer and at the same time his camera, he also had a shelf with some books where his notebooks of analysis of heroes for the future stood out, and his walls where now there were only some photographs that he had taken a while ago. "Izuku, I think we had paint in the basement." The boy left his room to go to the basement where he began to look through and move some boxes until he found what he was looking for. "Izuku, bingo." The boy took the box of paint and went up once more to the 2nd floor under the curious gaze of both green-haired adults for the actions of their nephew/son. Curious, Izuku's uncle went up to the 2nd floor only to hear noises in his nephew's room, so curiously he approached to knock on the door. "Izuku, 1 second, speaking from the other side." The adult waited a few seconds before the door opened to see his nephew with parts of his clothes covered in dust. "Ben, what are you planning now, son?" "Izuku, well, I thought my room needed a makeover and..." spreading his arms. Ben, I see, ha ha ha, tell me, do you want help? Izuku, well. In fact, all help is welcome, come in. Both green-haired men began to take the paint out of the box until they noticed something. Ben, tell me son, how do you plan to paint? Izuku, he, I didn't know they had already expired. Embarrassed. Ben, and the hardware store should have already closed by now, looking at the time on his watch. Izuku, I guess I'll have to go looking for a new one tomorrow and I could buy it in a green color, thinking. Ben, what about school? Izuku, oh well, mom spoke to the principal to inform him that she won't be attending tomorrow, sighing. Ben, and for what reason? Confused. Izuku, I was in a villain attack and well, you already know her. Ben, ha ha ha, your mom worries too much. Funny. Izuku, I believe it. Ben, but tell me, aren't you hurt or are you? Izuku, you too, Uncle Ben? I'm fine, just my clothes and backpack got burned. Ben, well if that's the case, stroking hair, tomorrow we'll start with your remodeling, leaving the room. I couldn't help but feel bad about deceiving the two most important people in my life and telling them I was fine. Physically I am, but I still remember All Might's words and how the heroes reprimanded me for acting without thinking when even they didn't do anything, and that's their stupid job. The boy just sighed while shaking his head trying to calm down, so to avoid thinking about it more he decided to move his bookshelf so tomorrow he could start with the remodeling, so he began to take his books and move them to his bed to make the bookshelf weigh less. But while he was taking his notebooks of analysis of heroes for the future, a portfolio fell to the ground which caught the attention of the boy, who looked at it for a few seconds more knowing what it was, the portfolio that his father used every day. The boy hesitated for a few seconds until he left his notebooks on the bed and bent down to pick up the portfolio and put it on his desk. He looked at it for a few more seconds until he sighed and sat down. He opened the portfolio once more and began to take out everything that was inside, the calculator, coins, and again his father's glasses, which he put back on without knowing why until he took out the folder again, opening it to reread some pages that were there. The first time he did it he didn't give them much importance, but this time. I had said in the past that I would leave everything related to my father behind, but I think that with everything that happened to me today it could help me a little to distract my mind. Izuku, what is this? Confused, 0 disintegration algorithm. Reading a formula. After reading that, the boy turned his gaze to see the photograph of his father and the blonde doctor whose name his uncle had given him before. Ben, Curtis Connors. That's the name of that guy. He was a friend of the family until your father died and he distanced himself from us. So with even more intrigue he turned on his computer to search the internet for more information. Izuku, Midoriya Hisashi and Curtis Connors. Typing on his computer. The boy looked a little until he entered a page where there was news about his father and the other scientist. Izuku, genetic crossbreeding. Science fiction or real science? Reading the article. The boy sighed as he adjusted his glasses and continued investigating, coming across some news where there was an image of a crashed plane in a forest. Izuku, Midoriya Hisashi dies in plane crash. Reading the article. The boy continued investigating more and more, searching the internet for more information about his father. Why? He didn't care anymore, he just wanted to distract himself a little, and this was helping him. Izuku, Dr. Curtis Connors. Typing on his computer. The boy continued to investigate more about the doctor by entering a page that had been written by the doctor himself. Izuku, A World Without Deformities by Dr. Curtis Connors. Reading. The boy continued reading interesting things that the doctor had written. Izuku, Imagine a world where we're all equal. Reading more of the article. The boy continued reading more of the doctor's biography without anything that seemed interesting to him until he reached a point where he was intrigued. Izuku, the scientist and life-link writer, trains future geneticists at Oscorp Industries. Internship applications closed. Reading. That made the boy sigh, but a little further down there was a photograph showing the Oscorp building along with an attached address, seeing that it was not that far from his home. The boy stretched out in his chair to look out of the corner of his eye through his window, noticing how it had already gotten dark. Izuku, 12:07. Looking at his watch, how long did I investigate? The boy put everything away and turned off his computer to go to bed. Tomorrow he would go to investigate Oscorp Industries, so he closed his eyes calmly, knowing that tomorrow he would not go to class at his mother's request. Later, he would ask his friend Todoroki for the classes. The next day classes at Midtown High School were normal except for a beautiful girl with jet black hair who noticed one of her classmates was missing, the latter being a short boy with freckles and messy green hair. She was worried about her classmate, and with good reason. Yesterday her classmate Bakugo recommended the boy to jump from the roof, something very severe, and seeing how today that boy did not arrive worried her extremely. So at the end of classes she went in search of a tall bicolor boy who she knew was a friend of the green-haired boy. Yaoyorozu, Todoroki-san, wait. The girl managed to reach the bicolor, passing through the tide of students who were leaving school. Todoroki, is something wrong? Yaoyorozu, you see, I know you're friends with Midoriya-san and I was wondering if he was okay? Todoroki, yes, why wouldn't I be? Yaoyorozu, well, he missed class today and I thought. Todoroki, he's fine. He told me that his mother spoke with the principal yesterday and said he wouldn't be coming today and asked me if I could do him a favor and give him today's classes. Yaoyorozu, I understand. But why didn't you come today? Todoroki, according to what he told me, he was involved in a villain attack and his mother worried too much so she didn't let him come today. Yaoyorozu, but is he okay? Todoroki, yes, he only received a few scratches, but if you don't believe me, offering him some notebooks, would you do me a favor and give them to Midoriya-san? I have some things to do and I don't have time. Yaoyorozu, but. Todoroki, if you're so worried about him, go and give them to him and you'll settle your doubts and that way we all win. You see that he's fine. I can go take care of my business and he'll be able to get the classes. I'll give you his address so you can go, what do you say? Offering him a note with the boy's address. Yaoyorozu, well. Looking at the address, it's somewhat close so I'll do it well. Todoroki, thank you, giving him a slight smile. The girl was right that the address was close to her, so it didn't take more than a few minutes in her limousine to reach her destination, so when she got out of her vehicle she could see the boy's house better. A two-story house. Neither too big nor too small, very cozy and with a homey touch. The girl walked to the door to ring the bell and wait a few seconds for the door to be opened by a beautiful, thin, green-haired woman a little shorter than the girl. Inko, excuse me dear, can I help you? Yaoyorozu, good afternoon, I'm looking for Midoriya Izuku, is he home? Inko, are you looking for my son? Surprised. Yaoyorozu, are you his mother? Inko, of course, but come in, dear, inviting her in. Yaoyorozu, I don't want to be a bother. Inko, you're not, my dear. Go ahead and make yourself at home. Yaoyorozu, thank you very much, entering. The girl followed the green-haired woman to the living room where she offered her to sit down, which the girl did so that a few seconds later the woman returned with a tray and 2 cups of tea to sit in front of her. Inko, tell me dear, what are you doing here? Yaoyorozu, yes, you see how Midoriya-san couldn't go to class today and asked Todoroki-san if he could hand over today's classes but he couldn't come so I came for him, showing some notebooks. Inko, thank you, daughter. Taking the notebooks, you see, since my son didn't develop a quirk, he's been the target of everyone's teasing and he hasn't been able to make friends either. Yaoyorozu, I understand. Drinking some tea. Inko, but seeing how Todoroki-san has become very good friends with my son makes me happy that my Izuku can finally make friends. And I hope that you can also be a great friend to him. Yaoyorozu, yes, I tried to be his friend, but he is somewhat reserved and quiet, smiling. Inko, I guess it's because I don't have experience socializing with other people, sad. At that moment the door of the house was opened and a black-haired adult with glasses entered, carrying some bags of paint. Ben, I'm home. The adult arrived at the room seeing that they had a visitor who was a girl with jet black hair. Inko, Ben-kun, it's good that you're back. Ben, I had to go get the painting because that kid. Inko, yes, I believe it. Ah, let me introduce you to. Yaoyorozu, nice to meet you, my name is Yaoyorozu Momo, bowing. Inko, Ben-kun, Miss Yaoyorozu is a friend of Izuku. Ben, oh it's a pleasure to meet a friend of my nephew. I'm Midoriya Ben, Izuku's uncle. Yaoyorozu, nice to meet you. Sorry for intruding but I thought you were Midoriya-san's father. Ben, no his father was my brother but he. Sad. Yaoyorozu, oh I'm so sorry. Inko, don't worry, daughter, you didn't say it with bad intentions. Yaoyorozu, I'm sorry to say this but I have to go. Ben, so soon? Yaoyorozu, if I have to go somewhere else, but I thank you for your welcome, bowing. Inko, don't worry, daughter, although I'm sorry that Izuku couldn't receive you. Yaoyorozu, don't worry, he must be busy. Ben, Yes. Sleeping, mockingly. The girl bowed as she left the Midoriya family home to get into her limousine and head off to her destination. When the limousine was out of sight, the green-haired woman went up to her son's room to enter, seeing what she thought. If your son is asleep in his bed, extremely covered with his sheets, with a face of comfort. Izuku, it's time to wake up. The woman opened the curtains of her son's room, causing the sun's rays to hit his face, which made him rub his eyes while yawning to get up. Izuku, Mom? What time is it? Drowsy. It's already noon and you're still in bed. Izuku, I have nothing to do. Let me sleep. Lies back down and covers himself. And what happened to what you ordered? You know a friend of yours came to teach you her classes? Izuku, friend? Drowsy. Yaoyorozu Momo, does that name sound familiar to you? Upon hearing that name, the boy quickly got out of bed and went down to the first floor as fast as he could, seeing his uncle in the living room drinking some tea. Izuku, where is it? Looking around. Ben, he had to leave because he had some business to take care of. Tell me, is she your girlfriend? Izuku, what are you saying? Blushing. Ben, the way you acted, I thought you were a couple, mockingly. Izuku, we're not. Embarrassed. The boy went to the bathroom to splash water on his face, waking up completely, then went to the kitchen to eat his lunch and went up to his room to lock himself in and sit at his desk while he ate to turn on his computer, seeing how he was in Curtis Connor's biography, making him remember what he had planned. Izuku, I forgot. Eating while looking at the doctor's image, I guess I can go later. Turning off his computer and leaving his room.